The US ambassador to Somalia, Larry Andre, however, joins me now from the Somali capital, Mogadishu. It's fantastic to have you on the program, Ambassador. You watched Jamal's report there, and what was really obvious in it was, they are setting up, rather like the Taliban did in Afghanistan, a state within a state. What was your reaction to what you saw in that film?
Well, thank you for having me on, and I congratulate Jamal on an interesting documentary. I myself have not seen Jalib, and I don't expect I will anytime soon. We see the other side of the story when areas are liberated from al-Shabaab and the great enthusiasm that people have for that liberation. Now, we saw much more territories being liberated from them up until about 2 years ago. Somalia was in a spiral of intense, extremely contentious political focus for 2 years with very little attention paid to security and governance. And one of the many prices paid for that those 2 years was al-Shabaab going on the offensive with momentum and more territories being taken. I suspect that momentum will be stopped and reversed, as it was by the Somali government and its African Union allies between 2012 and 2020. So I hope that answers the question.
But there are also some, but there are also some striking parallels, aren't there, with the Taliban in Afghanistan? The Taliban used to have this saying, "We have all the time, the Americans have all the watches." And it's exactly the same that al-Shabaab is saying. So in that context, I wonder why America is spending millions of dollars propping up a government that can't even control its own capital, Mogadishu.
I would have to question the premise. Somalia has several international security partners. The United States is one of them. And Turkey, the European Union, the African Union, 5 African troop contributing countries are all partners with the Somali forces. The Somali forces, we know most especially the Dadaab Special Forces, but the Somali National Army in general have been effective, and I don't see this as the same situation at all. We have seen Somali forces act selflessly, courageously to defend Somalis against al-Shabaab violence. We're talking about violent extortion. We're talking about many other crimes.
But al-Shabaab controls most of the capital. The president controls the presidential palace. You control the green zone. He can't even control his own capital. That's not exactly encouraging for the future, is it?
That is a very exaggerated view. The Somali forces and their African Union allies, other security partners, control a good deal more than that. But it's true that the al-Shabaab forces can be very insidious, especially with their mafia operations, their violent extortion, smuggling, financial crimes. They're able to do that. But the idea that they control most of Mogadishu is frankly not the case.
Okay, if al-Shabaab were to be in a position to control the whole country, which is what they want, Ambassador, how destabilizing would that be for the region? I'm thinking especially of countries like Kenya.
Well, we can see what al-Shabaab behavior has been. Your report mentioned the school where hundreds of Kenyan students were murdered. Westgate Shopping Mall is another famous instance. So there's good reason why all 3 neighbors, the immediate neighbors, Ethiopia, Djibouti, and Kenya, have contributed troops to be allied with the Somali forces to defend both Somalis and the region from this violent extremist behavior of al-Shabaab.
And would America ever find itself in a position where it would negotiate with al-Shabaab? or is that impossible?
This is a question for the Somali authorities. Again, our forces are here, and the other support we give outside of the military and law enforcement and economic and food security. We should say a couple words about the dire humanitarian crisis with the drought. That is something which other countries are also participating in. Any negotiations would be between the Somali authorities and
All right. Okay, got to leave it there. Ambassador Larry Andre, thank you very much for speaking to us.